perfect, but at least it'll give me a fairly good guide. Like that before, we're picking them flat here. Not right here. Neither. That's good. Thanks for eating down. We'll carry on. I think I'm mixing, buddy. I could probably get a little bit more off there, but I'm going to need some here. Probably some there. It's amazing, just skim the whole thing. Definitely needs wiping there. I forgot to grab that glazing footage this morning, but I can grab that later. So we ain't doing the live, so anyway, I'll stop recording for a minute and I'll get some shit sorted and we'll come back to you. Alrighty, so let's mix myself up another batch of filler to do these sides and stuff. Let's give this a quick scrape off. Now, so in the last video, I put a title up, which is I've only just put up this morning, which was basically yesterday's stuff anyway, and said that on the thumbnail I had this, the Rage Gold and the Z grip. I think the Z grip and this are very similar. They end up being the same, about the same colour, that sort of that greeny sort of colour. They both seem nice. I'd have to be honest, I'd have to work with the Z grip a little more just to remember sort of how it's spread. I think it's sort of similar. So what the difference is, I don't really know. But that Rage Gold that I used in Australia on the Dodge, I'm using the Z grip on the Mark II Jag at Dad's. And I'll be back using it at some point shortly. Now we might do, I don't know, over the next month or two or whatever. Might go do a bit more on that, if you know what I mean. You know, on a Saturday or Sunday or something like that. Just we'll see how we get on with this thing, and how much more, you know, well, you know, how much further we get to do, and then whether we have to wait on parts. But we'll get into that Jag again. But the difference between this and then using that Rage Gold, I think I would use the Rage Gold. This does sand very nice though. It's fairly easy to sand. So is the Rage Gold. So it's a real toss-up. The gold is just, because it's quite runny, like it, even when you put it on here, it sort of will flow out quite easy. When you spread it on, it'll just, you know, you can get your spreader, you know, put a hunk on your spreader, and it'll just run out, and you know, and then it'll come along and flatten it out. Whereas this here, you've got to work it a bit. It's a bit thicker. It takes a bit more working to flow out nicely. So, but yeah, I would go with the Rage Gold if you're going to be buying it at this stage anyway. Alrighty, so I've re-skimmed that body. Dad just come down and have another look, but I've re-skimmed there and here. The rest of this is that U-pole rapid glaze, which we've got to do the Jag and all that other stuff. So yeah, there's enough in there to, you know, do a few cars, you know, and that's the hardener for it. So you just put just a little wee spot in a wee puddle of it. Works great, that stuff, and that's just a nice little thin spreader, and just smear it in, you know, the worst of those marks. And when I doing the DA on that, I'll just blast it over here and knock off whatever we need to do, knock off on that, and that back part will be ready for high build then. You know, there might be the odd little mark, but we'll pick it up as we go. But yeah, that should be good enough, that piece for high build, once we knock that off, and hopefully these won't be far behind it. So I'm going to go have some lunch, and then I'll come back down here and knock all that shit off again, and that'll give a good hour to cure up. And obviously that'll give that plenty of time to cure up as well. That'll be hard in a few minutes. It only takes about, in good temps, what are we talking, 6 to 8 minutes? So yeah, and it's only like 2% hardener. It's great stuff, this stuff. I use the Dolphin glaze as well when I had my Valiant. It's very, very similar stuff, but it takes about twice as long to go off. So this is obviously I think this is a slightly newer version of the Dolphin glaze, if you know what I mean. But they both work brilliantly. If you can't find one, use the other. I would highly recommend it. But there's the other ones as well. Evercoat make a glazing putty, but like that. That's in that sort of squeezy, squashy bottle. I've seen Arco use it. He reckons it's bloody good too. So it's a good for just those marks. You know, when you get down to this sort of level, there's not much point smearing a whole heap of frickin' body filler over a few little marks. You can just put it on, and when we're DAing the rest, just bust over it a couple of light times, and you know, and the high bolt will take the rest. You know, if there is any other fine marks when we're going through high bolt, we can bang a little bit of that on, you know, blow another couple of kites of high bolt over it, and we're, you know, done basically. But that's cool. We'll let that cure off, and I'll see you after lunch. Well, as I was saying earlier too, before Dad turned up and I was talking about the Rage Gold and the Ultra, I would definitely use, that probably wasn't as bad to use with a bit more temp today. It was a little bit cooler yesterday. It'll be interesting to see what it's like to use this afternoon, but I think I would still prefer the Gold. It was nice and runny. It was really nice and runny, and it would just spread out like you're spreading butter basically, you know, or margarine. That was nice and soft, and just spread it out. Where that's is a little bit thicker. It's a bit more like the Z grip from memory, you know what I mean. If we go do a little bit on that Jag at some point, yeah, I'll soon be able to tell, you know, the difference, especially if I know it close together, because there's a bit of body work to do on this yet, but yeah. But it should be, I think I should be able to, as long as everything goes well, I think we should be able to get the main body, yeah, and doors and guards and fenders. If it goes on as good as that and it sands as easy, in a couple of weeks we should have this thing pretty good. I think once I get the tub ready, I think I will start smashing high bolt on it and let it sit, and then I'll go on to the other pieces, if you know what I mean, in between doing axles and shit like that. But I'm going to get out of here. I keep waffling. Right, we'll get some more body filler up here. Lights back on here. Right, quickly update. So this side isn't bad. It's a high, I think it's, I need a long block. I need my Dura blocks because I can feel it. It's a little high through here. It just, you feel it come up and then back down again. It's high about here. Like, not bad, like, hopefully, you know, like a Dura block with a, like a long flat Dura block so you can get a decent sweep across it and you're not following the contours so much, you know, and you're taking it off the top. Should pull that up. The rest of it's pretty good, you know, like it needs a little bit of extra putty and stuff. But when I put the doors on, I'll get into some of the stuff. You know, a little bit of glazing putty maybe, or whatever. I've got to put a little bit of fill in here because I knocked this down because it was thick and proud. I just hammered that down. The rest of it's pretty good. I think I possibly could knock that back too, just to, you know, and put a smear of putty or something in there. And like obviously clean up these edges a bit better and stuff like that. This other side's, it needs a bit more work. It needs a bit more filler through here. Again, it feels like it's high through here, but I think that's the steel because you can see the grey coming. And this obviously needs a bit more filler in it. And hopefully, you know, maybe too, a long block will help. Maybe take a wee bit more material off here and then we can put a wee bit more filler and more flatten this out too. It's pretty good, but it needs a wee bit more work. And again, when we put the doors on, I'll smear the filler through here. And I'll try and, what I might do is just put those clamps in behind them, just try and hold the doors closed, you know, at the level I want them, and then fill through, if you know what I mean. And hopefully we can block through. There's not much I can do about that. It is what it is. So yeah, I might start bolting the doors back on shortly, because before I mud this, you know, I'll mud into those doors as well, and probably around here, so I can even them out with the door, if you know what I mean. That's why I've sort of left this, because I want to put the door on and make sure I get all this height. I'll tape this bottom piece off in the meantime. Like I'll make, basically what I'll do is I'll probably tape that off and we'll just high build it, these pieces, unless it really needs anything in particular, because these are sort of a funny piece. They're sort of a separate piece all their own, and they just held them there with the nails, and they're part of the body work, but they're only really a cover, if you know what I mean. It's the wood and everything else that's doing the job. That's just basically covering it, so it's got something to paint. But yeah, it's coming up good. Might need a little bit more of a light scuff over with the DA or something later on, but it's not bad. The back, it's pretty much ready to go. Everything we should get out and high build, or we'll, you know, when we're blocking hard back with the high build, you know, we should pick up anything else that needs to be sorted with, you know, with even guide coats and stuff like that. But yeah, I need those long blocks, those blocks basically. Like they should be here, but they're not. But anyway, I'll come back to you shortly. Right, let's get the door on. Worst thing is it fits like shit now, because the body's not bolted down. It changes everything. It's actually, when I open it, it's catching on here, because everything sits different. It's poking out at the bottom here, which is a pain, because if I level it up, it's going to look freaking stupid. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's a pain. It is a pain. It just doesn't, that door wasn't that bad, I'm bloody sure of it. I'd have to look back through the videos, but that's the biggest problem, because it's not bolted down, like at the front, there, and then at the back. Everything's changed. Sure, that brace is on there, but it's not pulled down to that chassis to be twisted to how it was. I'll put the door back on the same, and I'm pretty sure I've got the same hinges in it. I could swap them top to bottom just to double check, but I'm not too worried about the gaps, but as long as it was sitting actually in the hole properly, but it's not. I thought I'd fixed it all, but yeah. It's just a pain in the butt. And the biggest problem is I don't want to make it fit here and then put it back on the body and then it doesn't fit again. Especially once it's painted. It's either that or we're going to have to paint it on the chassis. You know, get it all prepped, bolt it down, and then do the final block on the frame and put maybe sit the body back down, but put plastic over everything. Get some big plastic sheets and bolt the body down on top of the sheets of plastic, so all the chassis and everything is all covered, and do the final blocks and primes and tweak everything before we paint it. I don't know, which is a bit of a curse. Wooden cars, eh? Anyway, I'll put the other one on. I'll see what it's like. I might just put them on and call it. Yeah, because it's a pain. I think that bottom always stuck out a little bit, but it's not as bad as what it is. But it's weird, like you let these bodies go and everything moves, which is a pain. But anyway, we'll get back to you. Yeah, so this one here is better. This one here definitely fits better. It doesn't. It's still not lined up very good. I probably haven't quite got the screws screwed in tight enough, but I'm sure that when we pull this thing down, it's going to move a heap. So yeah, I think I might do parts, like do a fill on them, get them reasonable, and maybe prime it for the end of the. I might actually just get it all in body fill and blocked out reasonable, like these pieces, get them all smoothed out from about here down with this. I'm not going to go over the top. I don't think I need to. I think I'll get that and high build the top of it's fairly straight. There's no real damage in it. I'll have a good look, make sure there isn't anything in it that needs it, but I think if a good few coats of body high build will be enough to block that out, I think. And there's a lot of bits and pieces bolted onto it. So you got little lights here, you got that, and you got the windscreen, and you got the posts. So it sort of breaks it up. So you're not seeing big flat pieces anyway. But yeah, I think we'll get it in about as far as we've got. Be able to try and blend each piece into the next piece and get it reasonable, and then I think we'll concentrate on the chassis, get that back together, even if the diff centre's not in it. Get it back together, get it sitting down, get everything painted, put that back on, and then do the final round and just cover the chassis in plastic and tape it up to keep the shot off it, and then we can make sure that we've got everything fitting, all the doors anyway. That's the main thing, like to get this body. Everything else is just you juggle bolts and whatever, space it properly, but this is critical if you don't get the doors and stuff fitting nicely when you do your body work. If you bolt it back down and shit moves again, all of a sudden you're chasing yourself again. So we'll get it reasonable, and then yeah, I think because I would have loved to put high build. I can probably high build the back of the tub, probably, maybe, and not panic about the rest, but sort of not just high build it from here back, possibly, and then just once we get it bolted down, I can sand back in here and re-blend it, just blow the high build back into this part of it, back to here, and not panic about the rest of it, if you know what I mean. I'd be concentrating to get the back of the tub good. Yeah, and we can probably work on some other stuff too while we're getting the chassis back together. But I really think this needs to go back on and bolted down before we do the final block backs, and just make sure that these doors are sitting square and nice, opening properly, and then do maybe another skimmer body filler or whatever, and block it and whatever, and then high build it and do the final rub downs, top sort of thing. I think it's inevitable, otherwise it's just not going to fit nice. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. I'll get some out of the road, and you'll see you later. Sprung a leak. Here you go, guys. Whew. Been a rough couple of days. It wasn't my back last week. It was my friggin' belly. Fucking Saturday night, Sunday, and yesterday, and it's still not very good. Don't ask me what, but anyway, we've got chassis back. I just sat that on the axle stands. I got my Durablocks, but you're gonna laugh. Oh, it's, to be honest, it sucks. It's kind of pathetic, but anyway. Sometimes talking to different nationalities makes things hard, obviously. But anyway, so we ordered a pack of Durablocks and some different grits, and we said we want a couple of packs of each, just so we've got plenty here, and obviously I've got other cars coming, and that gives me plenty to play with for a while. And obviously when we get through one lot of paper for each grit, we can order another one, have another one here spare. Go figure, you know. Well, anyway, so we get a pack of Durablocks, just a 6-pack. Now I can order more if I need it, and yeah, and sandpaper. And we just rang the guy up. Fortunately, got a different person, and we're like, I ordered some Durablocks the other day, and obviously gave them the order numbers, and we're like, yeah, we wanted sandpaper to suit. We wanted sandpaper to suit with the different packs, different grits, and yeah, they just sent us normal flat sandpaper. Like we just said, we rung up and order it because we just wanted to talk to somebody, get it done and sorted and gone, you know. I probably should have ordered online, but we're in here trying to do it on our phones. There's limited reception in here. It's sketchy at best, and sometimes it takes a long time to surf through stuff. Like if you're sitting at a computer, you would have just done it. But we just rang the guys up while we were standing here on Saturday morning. Bang, bang, bang. Oh yeah, no, we want a pack of Durablocks. Yeah, one of your kits. I think it's the 6. So we got that one, that one, that one, and those two, and that one. And I said, I want the sandpaper to suit. Well, we didn't get the sandpaper to suit, but anyway, go figure. That's all good. They're pretty good about it. And I said, fortunately, we've actually got when we ordered online, when we rang up, we only found it, didn't realise they had a store semi-locally here. When I mean semi-locally, I mean 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. But we ordered it from the other end of the country, so obviously they were a bit confused what was going on, so that's probably what took a while, and they sent the wrong stuff anyway. But yeah, they said, now we've got a guy that comes down through this area every so often. We'll get him to call and sort that shit out and swap the other stuff over. Hopefully it'll be here in the next week or so. So yeah, we'll get that sorted, but it's a pain in the ass because I would like to use it, but also we're having the issues with the body that really needs to be back on the chassis to get the gaps and everything right. Anyway, so I'm still not feeling the best. So I'm going to have a little puddle around here. I actually frickin' wish I bought a bottle of water and I forgot to bring. I've been drinking a shitload of electrolytes, but everything I've been eating in the last few days just goes straight through me. So it's been bloody wonderful. Sunday was really bad. I was in bed all day, pretty much. But yeah, so I've got to be very careful what I eat. And I'm still feeling pretty weak, but I'm okay. But yeah, I just don't know how long in the last year today. So I did have breakfast and it hasn't reacted to me yet, but it's not so it's going to. But I did have a pretty light breakfast. But yeah, what I'm thinking of doing is if I get a chance, I'm going to start stripping the suspension stuff down, get it cleaned up, try and get it back on here. And just check out these kingpins and stuff like that. But I need to have a bit of a since we're at the chassis back here, we need to do a bit more jiggle around so I can get a few things out of the road that I'm not working on directly. And just give you a little bit of space to move. So I'm a little bit cluttered, as you can see, but it's only a matter of organisation. Anyway, we'll have a sort out and we'll get back to you shortly. So I just thought I might just do a quick stroll over the chassis, so we'll give you a quick shot of it. I'm a little bit annoyed that this kind of happened, but it's all right. Like, it's just, you know, I wanted to sandblast and bring it back here and then obviously fix or straighten anything that possibly needed worked on when I actually had a decent look at it after it was cleaned up. But I haven't had that opportunity, which is a bit of a pain. Because, you know, like this sort of stuff, I could have done something with, you know, because it's not straight. You know, stupid things like that I was expecting it to just be sandblasted and cleaned up. Like, there's no holes drilled in that. So now I've got to drill holes in it, and I've got to touch the paint up. I'm just noticing on here, after the sandblasted, there's holes in here. So it really needs welded up. This is the sort of thing that, yeah, I don't know. It's nice that it's painted, but I'm going to have to fucking do shit to it. And it's like a lot of pitting in here, which it's fine, but you know, like I could have put a few coats of high build on it and, you know, made it so it's not quite so obvious that it is really thin in places. Like, it's still not going to be, you know, all the work it's ever going to be is like, is it going to break? But it's just, would have been nice to spend a few hours on just making sure things were where I wanted them to be and where they needed to be and whatever. Just make sure it was right, because this has been, you know, that's been made, you know, and never finished. You know, like this stuff here is, look, it's probably meant to be bent, but you know, I could have made that better. You know, once it was cleaned up and actually had a decent go at, you know, fixing a few things. But it is what it is. Still going to look good. Still painted nicely. I'm not sure what they painted it in, but it looks good because it's satin, so it's not shiny, so, which is a good thing. It does look good. But yeah, there's a few things that I just would have liked to have checked over and sorted before we painted it. But anyway, alrighty. So stuff is loose, fortunately, because otherwise I haven't got anything else to undo it. Well, to be honest, I don't really know much about this setup in this, but we'll work it out. Kingpins are I wouldn't say a little bit foreign to me, but semi-foreign, if you know what I mean. But it should be a fairly simple thing to work out, I would guess. So we can take that arm out here if we need to. That's right. That's what I mean by these ball joints here. If you can see in there, like that's got a cup in there, and then it's got a, you know, another bit in there, and whatever. It's all fully adjustable. So all these pieces should be okay. I presume we'll probably have to get some sort of well, I assume they come with some sort of, what do you want to call it, boot, or they might have had some of that stuff probably would have had maybe even a felt, like a felt type boot or something like that. I'll talk to Dad again. He'll have most of the answers that I don't know. It's just how it works around here. If Dad doesn't know what's going on here, we're really in the crap. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tool to undo this, because I'm not sure whether it comes down or up or whatever, but it's obviously got slots in it because it can turn and it's got a thread on it. So we need to get it apart anyway, clean the stuff up, double check it, whatever, see what needs done, and then we can put it back together. And I haven't got anything here to undo it, so what I'm going to do is I've got this piece of, whatever it is, 6mm bar, which fits in there basically perfectly. 6 or 5mm, whatever it is. So that on there, weld that beside it, like that beside it. Grind a slot in the nut, so I can slip that over top, weld that around there, weld it in there, and then hopefully if we weld all the rest of it together, you can put a big, obviously a socket on the bar, we should be able to turn it, I'm hoping. That's my plan. It's just a quick, simple way to make something to do the job, and then I can use it to repeatedly do the job, if you know what I mean. I can grind it up, clean up, take the edges off, whatever. But that's just sort of my thought. So I'll cut a slot in here with the angle grinder down to roughly that depth, then I can sit the nut down on top. And we can use the bevel of the, sort of like a wheel nut or something, the bevel of the wheel nut to run a bead of weld in around there, plus weld in there, and obviously weld, but weld out here as well to join this together, and possibly weld on the inside and under here, except for where the thing slips over. You know what I mean? So at least it's strong down in here too. Hopefully, might not have to need to do that, but we'll weld this all together anyway. So it's kind of the plan at the moment. So I'm just going to give these edges a clean up so I can stick these bits of metal together and get all the sharp bits off them. Grinder, I was going to use that one, but it wasn't deep enough. Grind a slot in this and then start welding it together. I did think about using a big heavy piece of steel, but I thought that's a lot of screwing around to cut that down. We'll find something to fit it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Nice. That easy. Nice simple tool, but very efficient. And hopefully I was hoping because this is just mild steel, when I weighed it up and then dunked it in the water, it was after it might have been enough to harden this up so it wasn't quite so soft. It probably worked. No, did no damage to that, which is the best thing. One end's a little loose and the other end's just a little touch snug, which is quite handy. Tap on there and away you go. Yeah, I'm not sure about the next step. I'm guessing maybe that's pressed in or something, but I don't know. We'll find out. We'll come back to you. There you go, guys. So welcome back again. So I didn't get much well, we didn't really get any further yesterday. After I went home for lunch, I had a back appointment a wee bit sort of mid-afternoon, so I still wasn't feeling really good. So I just spent basically the rest of the afternoon at home just to try and get a bit better, give myself a bit more time. Things are still passing through me, feel easy, but I'm not desperate to go into the toilet now, so that's a bonus. I still get patches, but yeah, it's not quite so bad. But so anyway, I was actually watching Brent from Halfass. He was doing some kingpins on a Mercury. I know it's a bit different model year, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I was following him. He was doing some kingpins in a Mercury, completely different thing. But I'm just wondering, because he had to take like a pin out to slide or to get this pin to slide out. I don't know if that's how these work or not. I haven't found out much more info, if you know what I mean. I'm just not really sure. I don't think this would have anything to do with the kingpin actually coming out. But that's not to say it doesn't. No, it looks like it's free from there. So I'm guessing this is just pressed in. As I say, it's not something I'm familiar with. I haven't really had much to do with rigid axle front ends except for on trucks, but again, I haven't really had to do a kingpin on anything. I understand how they work and the principle and all that sort of stuff, but it's something I've never really had to do much to do with, if you know what I mean. Like it's been, most of the things I've been working on or playing on is been the McPherson strut or double A arms, wishbone sort of stuff, so I haven't really dealt a lot with solid axle front ends, to be honest. So I understand the principle, you know, and how they work and what makes them tick and all that sort of stuff. But apart from that, I haven't dived much further. You know, it's more, as I said, like this is a lot of the stuff that Dad's dealt with. You know, when he was playing with cars and restoring cars. You know, as a young guy, when they first rebuilt that green and black car that's in Dad's shed with that 28 or 29 rugby C.A.R, which was a Durant or a Continental base vehicle. You know, they were doing that before I was born, back in the 70s, early 70s, late 60s. So I went from a first ride and as you know, two-week-old baby basically, and I think its first adventure when Dad and his brother finished fixing it putting it back on the road the first time, was like 1972 or something. So it was 2 years before I was born. So yeah, and he's been doing that stuff since he was, you know, first being a mechanic, because that's what a lot of the cars were still rigid axle back then, you know. Like there was all the double A arm stuff and lots of stuff, but a rigid axle vehicle was fairly common, whereas nowadays they are, but they're not, if you know what I mean. Like the everyday vehicle really hasn't been a rigid front end for oh shit, I don't know, you know, a long time, unless you're talking about a solid axle, you know, 4-wheel drive, you know, something like that. But it's a similar principle, but you got drive shafts and CVs and everything go through the axle, you know, the diff head and whatever. It's not something like this, you know, that would have been, you know, I don't know what they use this stuff up into, you know, like two-wheel drive trucks and stuff like that, or even modern trucks are still using this technology, but it's, you know, like it hasn't been common in just an everyday vehicle really since probably the 70s, you know. So, but anyway, so I'm not really super familiar with it, you know. I'm familiar with the concept very well, but I've never really pulled it apart much, so. But, I see there, milling machine is here. It's a bit smaller than I thought it might have been, by quite a bit. Pull the camera off here and I'll show you, hold on. Yeah, it's a little bit smaller than I thought it might have been. I thought it might have been a bit bigger bed. I was sort of expecting something a little larger, you know, maybe a bed about this long and about this wide sort of type thing. But it isn't. But hey, it's another tool shed one. I didn't know exactly what it was, but hey, that's cool. It'll be bloody handy for doing small jobs. And I assume all this stuff come with it. I'm not 100% sure, if you know what I mean. Hopper bits and stuff. Alrighty, so the camera fell over and out there the breeze came up. I got these parts sandblasted. I've still got to sandblast those other pieces, the small pieces, but I'll do them in the cabinet. And then obviously when I get this stuff apart properly, I'll sandblast all these bits. Contemplating, I'm not quite sure, if these pieces are all right, I'm contemplating, I don't know whether to paint this together, paint it apart and then put it together. So yeah, I'll just, yeah, if anybody's got any suggestions, would you put this all, assemble it, obviously cleaned up, etch it, probably apart, bolt it together and then paint it, and obviously tape up the stub axles, don't have bearings on it and shit like that, but is that what you guys would do? You know, etch it all together, etch it all apart obviously, bolt it together and then spray it black. I don't know, I'm just trying to think, you know, like if you spray it apart, there's a lot more chance of scratching it when you're putting it together. So yeah, I don't know, what would you do? Or would you just maybe spray the areas black that are going to be touching, then put it together and then spray it? I don't know, I'm just trying to think, you know, what's going to be the easiest way to do it. You know, just bolt it together and spray would be easy, but I'm trying to think, you know, the nicest way to do it without creating a lot of extra work, if you know what I mean, or without having to worry about scratching it, bits and pieces, you know, and then we can just set it up, paint it, and then we can obviously start bolting this piece back on. I'm probably going to get these ends, maybe get these remade. I might shoot around to Mum and Dad's shortly. I'm not sure. I think Mum and Dad could be away, but I'm not sure. But I'll ask Dad just to see what he thinks the wear on these tapered ball joint bits for the tie rods, and ask him a little bit about these. Again, I haven't got a press here yet, unfortunately. We got the mill, but yeah, we haven't got the press here yet, so I don't. To press these out, I'm not 100% sure whether he's, you know, he'll just shed light on it. I'm just not 100% sure, and I don't want to damage anything before I start bashing on something and I'm doing the wrong thing, if you know what I mean. With not it being 100%, but I've got that tool made so we can whip that other piece out, get it cleaned up, whatever, when we figured it out, and then either etch it and paint them and put them together, or maybe spray the areas and then paint it together, or whatever, I don't know. We'll work that out. I'm just trying to think of the nicest and easiest way without having to scratch everything. Trying to reassemble it, especially by myself. Not always that easy. That's kind of what I'm thinking of, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. I'm going to go have some lunch once I bring that sandblast and stuff inside, because it could rain. So yeah, so I've pretty much got that stuff cleaned up. I'll sandblast the last little pieces in there for the other side, you know, the other spring in the blasted cabinet. Yeah, I think I actually need to get a sieve for that stuff I was doing outside. I was having a bitch of a job, and it keeps blocking up. I think it's just too much crap in it now. I need to sieve the shit out of it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it'll all in the meantime anyway. I'll come back to you. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Yeah, and please, yeah, like, share and subscribe. It costs you nothing. You know, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below, good or bad. I prefer not bad, but good or bad. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, thanks guys.